Hopefully this one will be the 130 in there. Although, be a bit like winning the lottery if it was. Oh, he's a fat little fella. He's not a bad one. There he is. We got him. Oh, I reckon he's the biggest one yet. There he is. God, he's got a belly on him. Reminds me of the old Italian strain. Not that you see many of them anymore, but right little fatty. Excellent.
Right, Dave, one of the questions we get asked the most in the magazine is what rods to buy. Namely, people don't know whether to go for like a 3.5 pound set or for a 2.5, 2 3/4 pound set because they're not quite sure whether they're going to be fishing on this lake or that lake.
Yeah, I understand that.
I believe you've kind of got the answer here.
Yeah, I mean, I've been using these rods today and they're lovely rods, and these are 3.5 pound test curve, but each one comes supplied with another tip, an alternate tip, which is a 2 3/4 pound test curve.
So you get the two tips.
You get the two tips with one rod.
Right.
So I mean, the beauty of that, obviously, like you say, if you know, maybe you do fish somewhere like here and the fish are at range and you want to be using the 3.5, but your local lake might be a little much smaller pond, and you're going to feel a bit outgunned with a 3.5, and you want a nice sort of playing action or a bit of floater fishing or stalking or whatever. So rather than have to invest in two completely different setups, you just swap the tip over and you're using a 2 3/4 pound rod.
Brilliant. So in effect, you're buying one set of rods and you're getting almost getting a set free, if you like.
You're getting the option of another set. Yeah, you know, you're getting two different types of rod, and also, I mean, if you're using the same reels for both of your types of fishing, which most people are going to be doing, you haven't got the ache of taking the reels off, putting them on another rod. All you simply do is take your leader off, wind the line through, change the tip, put it back on. And you're fishing straight away.
Well, what about the actual performance of them as individuals? So the 3.5, it's the same butt section as the 2 3/4.
Yes.
You're not losing anything on performance, though.
No, I mean, I've been using these for this session, and I'm fishing at quite, probably over 100 yards. So there's a fair chuck, and they've been performing perfectly. And with the softer tip, I mean, they're a lovely rod close in, for stalking and fish under the tip and that, with the 2 3/4 tip on them.
Excellent.
So no, I don't think I lose anything really.
So that could be the answer then, if you're not sure what rods to buy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You buy them, you say buying one rod and getting two options.
Excellent. Cool.
Okay, these are the Speedrunner reels. They're a lovely sort of medium-sized reel. You don't always need to be using a clonking great big pit reel, especially when you're fishing distances like this up to sort of 80, 90 yards. You can do that comfortably with one of these. The beauty of these over a big pit reel is the sort of finesse you get with it. With a smaller reel you get that nicer engineering. Everything's so smooth. The line lays absolutely perfect. The gearing's nice, and when you do hook a fish on them, you've got this front clutch, and it's just so smooth. You don't always get that with a bigger reel. It's lovely to play fish on. Casts well, and like I say, it's got that lovely smooth retrieve. It's also got this integral free spool system, just a simple flick of a switch, and you can adjust the tension for that on the back there. So you can just hear that purring, that really is a lovely smooth reel. Okay, I'll just run through briefly the rigs that I've been using over this session. 3 main rigs. To be honest, I've got 3 main rigs that I use everywhere I go. Firstly, we look at a bottom bait rig. This is very, very straightforward. It's a short length of coated braid, stripped at the end to make a supple section, no knotted, with a fairly long hair. I don't like to fish baits too tight to the bend of the hook. I like it long so that on ejection it can fold back and leave the hook in the mouth. A standard bottom bait, straight out the bag, and a small piece of buoyant fluoro corn, plastic corn, on the top just as a little sight bob. And that will just sit that rig up. It won't pop it up, it's not buoyant enough for that, but it'll just sit it upright like that on the bottom. When the fish takes that in and then blows it out, you've got that flexible section there so the hook can swim around, catch a hold, and the force of the bait being ejected on that longer hair will set that hook in nicely. So very, very standard, but very, very effective. Now here we have a pop-up rig. Now I'll use this rig on lakes. Quite often I'll use a 360 rig, but a lot of lakes you're not allowed to use long shank hooks or curved shanked hooks, and this is a perfect way of getting around that. As you can see there, if you concentrate on the hook first, I've extended the hook shank with a little bit of shrink tube and just kinked it over there. And the idea of that is that that hook will always twist as soon as it touches anything and take a hold. As soon as it comes in contact with a carp's mouth, that's going to turn over. Now I'm using the top of the shrink tube there as the backstop for this sliding ring, and on the front I've put a very small rubber stop. But it's very important to put this right at the top of the hook so that when this rig sits on the bottom, the bait is above the hook. So as the fish comes down to the bait, all they see is the bait, and as they suck it in, the hook follows the shape of the bait into the mouth. And on ejection, that ring will fold back to there and pull that hook into position. And I've simply counterbalanced it at the end of, again, a small stripped section on the coated braid with a little blob of lead putty. So when that rig goes down on that stiffer boom, it will settle on that putty and sit exactly upright with the bait masking the hook, and that will fold over on ejection, and the only thing left in the carp's mouth will be the hook. Another rig that I've got a lot of faith in, and the third of my trio of take anywhere rigs, is the zig rig. Couldn't be simpler to try an effective zig rig. I get asked a lot of questions about how do you do zig rigs, you know, what do you use, what materials do you use. It is really a very, very simple rig. Monofilament for the hook link of choice. I try not to use pre-stretched ones because they're a bit fragile, so a basic monofilament hook link. A short hair as opposed to my normal style of fishing where I like a long hair to fold over. Short hair, two very small pieces of foam. I find black and yellow to be the most effective combination. Plain black coming a very close second. The hook is a size 8 super specialist. Now I use that for fish of all sizes. I've caught fish from 8 pounds to I think 46 pounds, my biggest zig caught fish. My personal best common actually. All on a size 8 super specialist. And it is just a case of a simple no knot on there. The only tricky part is obviously when you feed the line back through the eye from the no knot, you're feeding the length of the hook link, which can be anything up to 10 or 12 foot. And in general, I like as a starting point to fish my zig rigs about mid-water, and then if like today it warms up and you think the fish are rising in the water, add a foot, add a foot, add a foot until you get the first bite, and then you know exactly what level they're sitting at. Important to use a buoyant foam with this, obviously, because you've got a lot of mono and the hook and you don't want it bowing down in the water. But just test it in the margins, and as long as it stands up straight, that's good to go.
Right, Dave,
Yep.
Bivvies. I know there's one in particular that you've used, well, every time I've been out with you recently. I know it's hugely versatile. You've got it in the bag.
I have.
So take it away, let's have a look.
Yeah, okay, it's a Bivvy I've designed myself actually, which is why I'm so proud of it. The idea behind it is that one shelter does all.
Right.
Does everything from basic pram-wood umbrella style shelter right the way out to a full extended front.
So everything's in there.
Everything.
And we're going to have a look at it from start, how you use
start
it,
to finish,
right the way through all the seasons, if you like.
Okay, it's a 3-section pole pram hood, which is quite a basic, well-known concept. Easy to put up, just unroll them, lay one side out that side, one side out there, click the poles together. 3 on each side. All going nice and easy. To make sure it's all nice and flat and untwisted before you start, it's going to make your life a lot easier. That's it as far as the pole's concerned.
Is that what makes the pram hood so popular and so good then? The fact that it just goes up in no time?
It goes up in no time, and the angle on the poles makes it so much more rigid,
right,
than a hooped pole.
Right, got you.
You've got a formed shape on there, which is obviously more weatherproof. Put the retaining clip in there, and that gives you your ideal dimension there and the perfect height.
Well, it's all tensioned up now, isn't it?
And then simply you just take the poles, working from the back. You've got 3 different poles, one with a spike on it for the back, the medium sized one for the middle, and the long one for the front. And if you notice, some have got single and double. That's an inline system, so the poles are all straight.
Oh, so they fit
middle,
nice and snugly,
rather than being side by side. So you simply get your spiky pole, click that on the back.
So that's a frame support system then?
Yep, and that goes in a little retainer at the back. And then you just right forward, put your poles in. It's as simple as that. It really is so simplistic to put up.
That is it, yeah, absolutely. So then it's just a matter of pegging it out?
Just a matter of pegging it out. Start from the back always and work your way round. Just seems to be the better way to get the ideal tension on it.
And I know this is pretty much how you use it, isn't it? Just in its shell,
most of the time I use it like this, but I do use it all through the year. So the accessories that come on it, I get to use them all at the right time of the year.
Yeah. Well, we'll take a look at all of those in turn then.
Yeah.
Just let you set it up and get it ready, and we'll do that.
No problem.
Right, so there you have it, Dave, the hardcore bivvy. In effect, it's kind of 4 bivvies in one, if you like, isn't it?
It is. In fact, it depends how you look at it. It's probably more than that. It's probably nearer 6, because obviously now I've got the peak on. I could have the peak without any front. That's an independent zip.
Yeah.
I could have the peak with the mosquito front. So, you know, there's probably 6 different ways you can put this lot together.
Perfect. So it is literally a bivvy for every carp angler for every season, isn't it?
From an umbrella system right up to as it is now, full protection.
Really
shell.
sturdy.
Oh, they're solid.
You know, as you mentioned before.
Yeah, I mean, that's because of the bend in the poles.
Right, okay.
You know, if you have these pre-formed poles, it's pushing against itself, and then you've got the front to back tension bars.
Yep.
You know, and it really does make it a solid, rigid bivvy.
And I know you're very proud of it, quite rightly.
Yeah.
You've developed it from scratch, and
Yeah.
I know the attention to detail is something that you were
All
very
the way
keen on, wasn't it?
Yeah, from start to finish. I mean, like the material itself is the best material to get hold of. This is, it's got a hydrostatic head on it of 20,000 mil, which means basically you could put a column of 2 metres of water on any one spot before there was any chance of that pushing through, which is obviously not going to happen.
No, but it shows how good the material is.
What it could hold. And all over the whole bivvy. I mean, down to the stitching, the tape sealing, even the pegging points, they're all reinforced pegging points. You know, there's nothing more annoying than you spend a lot of money on a bivvy and you're pegging it out a bit tight in the wind and bang.
Well, you do, you have to peg it under tension, don't you? So you need those to hold up.
If you're setting up in big winds, it's under a hell of a lot of tension. So yeah, there's not a single point I don't think that's been overlooked in the construction of this.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm very, very, very proud of it. Right, we're sort of getting into the evening, everything's chilling off a little bit, and the fish have gone on a little bit of a feeding spree. I think I've had 3 bites in about the last half an hour, which is always the way because I was just eating my dinner, and then as soon as I took the first mouthful, the first rod was away. One came off, one's sitting down there in a recovery sling waiting to be photoed, and as soon as I whacked it back out there, it was away again. Just like all the others, they don't seem to want to come in. It's a bit of a classic feeding time though, sort of an hour before dark. I think in all reality the fish have been up high in the water for most of the day. It's been quite warm at times. But they're certainly down there on the munch at the moment. Right, finally, after about 10 minutes of pumping, he's nearly in. Still enough light left to get it back out there for another one if we're lucky. We'll sort of come together this evening a bit. Bit of a feeding frenzy. Oh, no, he's still got a bit of life in him. Come on, fella. Leader knot's nearly on the reel. This time. These really shallow margins here make it well iffy for netting them. We got him. That's a better one. He's a lovely fish to end a very productive evening feeding spell with. Well, there's still time for a couple more maybe, but I'm happy with him. A lot better stamp than some of the previous ones. He's actually got a bit of weight in him, he has. Lovely fish. Perfect. Gorgeous fish. Perfect end to a perfect day.
Dave, so although it's springtime, not necessarily the time that you'd associate wearing lots of clothing, you get to the evening and the temperature can just suddenly drop. So obviously you've got to be kitted out. So what are you wearing there for us?
This is the Force 10 clothing, jacket and trousers. The trousers you can either wear as like over trousers, but at the moment when it's not particularly bitter cold, I'm just wearing them on their own, just you know, like combat trousers. They're perfect really, and they're waterproof as well, so if you're messing about with fish or kneeling down, what have you, and get wet on them, it just dries out straight away. Jacket's a lovely bit of kit. It's got fleece inside the pockets, which is nice for warming your fingers up in the evening. It's nice and thick bit of clothing, fleece lined.
Lots of pockets on it then, mate.
Yeah. There's all little bits hidden away here, there and everywhere for all your bits that you might need. It's also got a really nice big hood on it, which is handy. It's big enough to fit over your hat or whatever, you know.
Got a bit of a peak on that as well.
It's a bit of a peak cap. Obviously all that keeps the wind out your neck and that. It's a really nice bit of kit. They come as separates. We also do an alternative to this. We've got a smock version of the top, which is
more of a pullover.
Whereas this is a full zip jacket. You know, people have different preferences. Personally, I quite like a smock. But you just put it
easy enough to get on and off.
Oh yeah, it just slides over easy enough. It's nice and spacious, nice and roomy. Yeah, it's got a through pocket on the front, which is fleece lined right through. You can, like a muff.
Oh, okay, that's a flap that you'll undo.
These are
to get it
side
on and off
vents.
nice and quickly.
Yeah, and also they come in handy if you do get hot. So if you've got the smock on, maybe you're moving swims, or it might be cold in the morning when you're packing up and you push the barrier and you're getting a bit warm. If you undo them, a bit like on
There's a little
skiing
bit of air
equipment,
around, I suppose,
there's a little
Right,
bit of airflow in there. Lets out some of the sort of hot air. So yeah, basically they're the 3 items in the Force 10.
There's literally something to suit your own preference, then, isn't
yeah,
there?
absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
Everything proof.
Right, mate. Did a lot of work through the winter with you for the magazine.
Yeah.
Obviously, big crux of winter fishing is keeping warm and comfortable.
Yeah,
and I know this particular piece of clothing is a favourite of yours, and you well, every time I see you, you seem to have it on.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, you can see it's had a fair bit of use. It's covered in various bacon sandwiches and what have you. I wore this, I didn't only wear this for fishing this winter, I probably wore this every single day of the winter gone, so I use it for dog walking as well.
Right.
To me, it's just like a survival suit.
Hence the name.
Yeah.
What is it? Thermaltech Survivor.
Yeah. You put it on, it's like putting a sleeping bag around you. It's incredible. And in no time at all, it puffs right up with trapped warm air.
Right.
Literally, whatever, if it's howling winds, freezing cold, you put this on, it just all goes away.
Immediately.
It immediately goes away.
Okay.
And the longer you wear it, the warmer you get with it.
It doesn't look too heavy either for
it's got no weight
winter
to it.
top.
It's got no weight to it at all. And like I say, when you've worn it for a couple of hours and it's puffed up with warm air, it's just like having a great big
toasty
balloon around you of warmth.
Nice.
It's a fantastic bit of
front
kit.
pockets.
Yeah, it's got pockets,
storage
it's got a through pocket, which I like that because
okay, so it's more
like
of a pouch.
Muff. You can sort of hold your own hands inside and keep them warm.
Yeah.
You've got this huge pouch pocket, which I just dump absolutely everything in. When I'm out dog walking, I've got the ball and the lead and the thing and everything in there. Like I'm pregnant, but when I'm fishing, I've got the phone and the sounder box and whatever you want all chucked in there, car keys and everything. No, it's a absolutely bomb-proof bit of kit.
Spot on.
I love it.
I like the smock style to it as well, as opposed to a full zip. I like that.
I do, yeah, I do. And I think there's nowhere for anything to get in at you. Once you're in there, you're warm. And that's all you can ask for, isn't it, from a jacket?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%.